Hey, 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 my Tyler Perry Sisters fans. It's your girl, Barbie J, saying, my girls hold me down. Them boys mess around. Let me stop. Anyway, here we are with Sisters Season 5, Episode 2. My boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble. Hey, my boyfriend's back. Anyway, y'all, it was a good episode if you ask me. I did enjoy this episode. There were some things that I didn't like, but there's always going to be things that we don't like. But I think I got a lot of laughs out of this episode. Maybe y'all didn't. I know I did. I was just cracking up the whole time. I love Pam. Pam is funny. Zach was funny. You know, everybody's doing something silly. Anyway, let me hurry up with this recap and this review, because you know I'm going to give my little 2 cents. And before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please take a moment right now and hit that little subscribe button. Then hit that notification bell. That is very important. Hit the notification bell and it'll let you know every time I upload one of these great videos. Then I ask to give me a thumbs up. Like the video, y'all, and then comment below, because everybody's comments and feelings and thoughts are important to me. I want to hear what everybody's saying, because you could persuade me to go your way if I'm feeling a different way. You know, we all see things differently, so it's good to hear everybody's perspective, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I didn't get this first part. It started off with Preston. He's talking to Danny at the airport, you know, and she's acting like she doesn't care about what he's saying. But she is upset because she's at work, and he's saying this to her while she's at work. So she seems like she's getting a bit emotional when he's talking about he gonna go back and ask this other girl and marry him. And she tells him, go ahead, just go and do what you gonna do. She said, just go ahead and do it. And he said he'll wait for her until she gets off work. You know, if she tells him not to do it, he won't do it. But she's acting like she don't love him, and he said, I know you do. I know you care for me and stuff. So anyway, she said, no, just go. And she turns her back and hides her teary eyes. And I got to tell you, I got a little emotional myself, because she's playing so hard and she doesn't know what she wants, I guess. And she has to, like I said before, Danny needs to get in touch with who Danny is and what she needs for herself to move forward. And until she can do that, she's never going to be able to be with another man, I don't think. So then that male passenger who had the rude wife, he was sitting there and he saw everything that happened. And when Preston walks away, he gives Danny some tissue. He gets up against Danny tissue, and they start talking, and he says how he used to love his wife and yada yada. And then he gives Danny some positive energy to make her smile. And then she lets him know that his flight has come in, and he gives her his number to call if she needs someone to talk to. Because first she said no, and then she said okay, and she takes it. Then he wakes up his wife saying, get up, our flight is ready. And she stands up, and Danny makes the announcement that their flight is boarded. And then she just stares at Danny. Danny have her head down, not even looking, and she's doing this death stare at Danny and stuff. She lucky Danny letting her get on the daggone plane. But I thought that was funny because the lady stared her down. I was like, oh Lord, you know. Then we got, okay, now this was funny when Miss Lisa leaves out of the room, and out of Karen's room, and runs into Pam, who came back to make sure that Karen wasn't, you know, by herself. Then Miss Lisa asks Pam what is going on, and about with her daughter. And Pam says, now mommy, you know I don't run my mouth. Miss Lisa said, seriously, girl? Are you serious right now? Then Pam quickly updates her on everything she needs to know, in the same breath that she told her she don't tell people's business. I said, Pam, it's so funny. She said, you don't think that's telling people's business? She said, well, you asked. I'm up here doing the hand motion now, because Pam does them hand motions. She cracks me up. Then she goes into the room and talks to Karen, saying that she loves her. And Karen just ignored that and looked in at her like, did you call anybody? And Pam is like, no. And then she let her know that Aaron and Andy came by the salon looking for her. Then Pam offered to call someone for her. And they were going back and forth, and Karen told Pam she could call him. That's all they kept saying, is she could call him. And they never let us know who it was until they showed Zach and Fatima and the phone ringing, and it was Pam. So they had a understanding that they didn't verbally speak with Pam, knowing that Karen wanted her to call Zach. So then it switches over to Zach and Fatima. They're home and they're chilling. And then the phone rings and it's Pam, saying that Karen's in the hospital and that she wants him there because she's having his baby, and then asks that he should be there with all the history they have together. And Zach was like, I'm not trying to hear it. I'm not going there. And Pam was like, well, what's the problem? Your new boo got you on lockdown. I said, Pam, it's getting ridiculous. And he said, no, Pam. And he said, why don't she call the preacher man? And Pam said, she don't want him. She wants you. And, and he said, well, you're there. She'll be fine. Who's there? And he said, Miss Lisa's here too. So he said, you're fine. So when he hangs up, he doesn't want to talk about the call. But Fatima's staring at him and she's insisting. He tells her what's going on. And he's like, nah, because you're going to get mad. And she's like, why would I get mad? And Zach is like, he looked at her like, do you even know yourself? It's like, his face was funny. Do you even know yourself? Then she told him he should go if he needs to be there because the baby could be his. And Zach refuses to go, stating that we are supposed to be setting boundaries. And then she's like, okay, fine. But Fatima seemed like she's perturbed already about that. So then they try to relax, and then Deja is blasting music next door. And Fatima's like, God dang it. Zach calls Deja to turn down the music. And she have the nerve to ask, does he want her to come over? And she said no. Then Fatima grabs the damn phone for him and yells into it for her to turn down the damn music and yells bye and hangs up. And then she told Zach, I'm telling you, I'm going to beat her ass. I said, oh my God. I said, here we go. And Zach is like, I don't know why I thought you could ever be cool, calm, and collected. And Fatima's like, whatever. So now we have Andy driving and Gary calls her and asks to see her. Andy said, yes, with stipulations, of course. She wants him to write a list with her good traits and bad traits on each side, on one side of a piece of paper. Then Danny calls Andy to ask if she's heard from Sabrina. And then Andy asks if she's heard from Karen. They're both like, what's going on? So Danny tells Andy about Sabrina being investigated and asks her to make some calls. And Andy is not, she's not believing what she's hearing, but told Danny it wouldn't be a good idea for her to go over to Maurice's apartment to ask. And I'm like, well, why not? I was like, why wouldn't it be a good idea if they worked together? So that threw me off why she said that. Anyway, they ended the call with Andy basically saying she would make some calls. But you see her trifling butt, self-absorbed self didn't. I jumping ahead, but that pissed me off. Then Aaron shows up at the hospital and Pam asks how did he know that Karen was here? He would, of course, he wouldn't answer. He wouldn't answer like don't worry about it. And she asked, did Zach call him? And then he's like, no. And he walks into Karen's room and asks what's going on. And she's not trying to answer him. And he refuses to tell her who he got a text from that said she was there in the hospital. And I think at some point she yelled and said, I don't want you here. I don't want you here. I was like, oh my God. And she too asked him, how did he get there? Did Zach kill him? And she doesn't want him to stress her out. She said that's why she didn't want him there. So then Karen assumes that it was Fatima, who called because she works for Andy and has all of their numbers. And she says, he's like, it's not Fatima, but Karen is not hearing it. She's like got blinders on and she is seeing red. And she calls Fatima. And Fatima wasn't answering. She wasn't answering. And then she started calling Zach's phone. And then he didn't want to answer because he knew it was Karen. Fatima answers it. And she tells her, I appreciate it, bitch, if you would mind your business. And she went off on Fatima, called her a biatch at least 2-3 times. And then Fatima's like, Zach, you need to talk to her. And she said, he said, look, wait, check it out. She's like, no, you tell your bitch not to be calling around telling my business. And Zach is like, that's why I said not to answer the phone. He hung up on her and he's telling Fatima, that's why he didn't want to answer the phone. We were having a good night and now look. So now Fatima's pissed at Zach, asking how many of her, her exes are calling here with drama. And, she tells him to take care of his business and put his chick in check. Put this girl in check. Not his chick, but put Karen in check. And what I'm saying is, why is Fatima getting mad at Zach? Because of Karen losing her damn mind. You were there when Zach put in check before. She's not listening. She's not listening. And here you were sending him to the hospital and he didn't even want to go there. You must know she's going through something. But anyway, let me move on because it's going to make this damn review too long. Then we got Karen tells Aaron she doesn't want him to be there, right? And then Miss Lisa walks in and is very cool towards Aaron, who doesn't seem to get the hint to leave. She gives Karen some information and Aaron asks, well, what did they say? And Miss Lisa said, I don't know that my daughter wants you to know what was said. So Miss Lisa throws him out of Karen's room because her blood pressure has gone up and it seems that he's stressing her. But what works my nerves is that Aaron doesn't seem to respect freaking boundaries. And he needs to get his ASS checked. He really does. Someone needs to throw some holy water on his behind and get that demon spirit out of him that he doesn't know he's carrying around, because it's there. And I'm just saying, it's too much for me. Anyway, Gary shows up to the penthouse and sees that Andy has made some changes to the place. They talk very civilly, to each other. And he asks, she asks, where's his list, which was the price of admission. And they read each other's lists. And he basically said that she was perfect. So her list had no negative things on it. And Gary says that he is hard and that he can change and make her happy. So she's like, well, why do you think I needed to know that you was hard? So he had a heart on. He wanted her to know, So he said he want to have her, but she said he can't. And he got a little pissed off. And she said, see what I mean? But he tried to act like he wasn't pissed, So she said she'll call the dealership in the morning and the realtor and let them know, to give his things back. So she told him he had to leave. And he said he can make her happy. And she said, no, you can't. And he wants to know if Robin is coming over. Like, that's why she won't let him stay. And she said, you tell me, since you're the one with the damn telescope, which is so creepy. And then he was like, yeah, I'm sorry, and then he notices that she put up shears to the window because of him. So now Gary refuses to leave, saying she doesn't look like she really wants him to leave. So she turns her head and won't look at him, telling him to leave. And he starts to undress in front of her to remind her of one of the reasons she keeps taking him back. I said, what? And they start making out, and he went downtown on her, and his hell, you could see was his head peeking out between her little thick, sexy ass thighs, I guess they are, because he was loving it. Meanwhile, her selfish behind never made one damn phone call to find her friend Sabrina, who's freaking in jail. How self-absorbed is she? Ugh, I'm just so done with her. So the doctor finally comes into Karen's room and lets her know that nothing is wrong with the baby. Karen is very happy, puts her head down saying, thank you, God. She's putting her on bed rest. The doctor's putting her on bed rest, saying that between the low iron and the high blood pressure that's really needed. The rest is really needed. And she said that she will follow up with her in 2 weeks. So then Fatima goes to bed pissed off at Zach because Karen called her all kinds of biatches and he didn't shut her down. You want me to go to the hospital, he said, right now and set it off? Then Zach says to her, and she was like, well, you didn't stop nothing. You didn't say nothing. And she getting mad. Then Zach says, so you know what? He said, you ain't really going to bed. He said, you ain't going to bed. You just messing with me because you still got on all that makeup and that damn wig. He said, you ain't even wrap the damn wig up. I was laughing. He said, you ain't even wrap it up. He said, I should yank it off your head right now. And I'm telling y'all, I swear, I can see Fatima's body jerking up and down, trying not to laugh when she in there laughing at him when he's doing that. Her face was in the pillow and I was laughing, so I know she was laughing. Anyway, Zach calls Pam to ask if Karen is still in the hospital. She says, no, she went home. Are you going there now? And Zach is like, don't worry, Pam. Said, okay, now. She said, now don't y'all mess around and have sex again? I said, Pam is crazy. She was like, don't have sex again. And Zach hangs up on her like, Pam, really? So, Danny shows up at Maurice's house and Calvin answers the door. And Danny tells Calvin what she has heard about Maurice and Sabrina being investigated at the bank. Calvin, of course, can't believe it. He's like, are you serious with this? But Danny tells him that no one has heard from either of them. So he asks, Danny to put her number in his phone. And they each promise to call the other if they hear anything. And then Danny leaves. So then we have Zach. Zach shows up at Karen's house to talk, and Miss Lisa answers the door, and she asks what he wants. And he said he needs to talk to Karen. And she said, well, that's not happening tonight because the doctor put her on bed rest. So he tells her briefly what went down with Karen calling his lady a biatch. And Miss Lisa's like, well, is she a biatch? And Zach is like, no, she is not. And he said, and I'm not having it. So she's like, well, we're not going to talk about this now. So Zach said, can you talk to her? Because I already told her, but she's not getting it. And, Miss Lisa understood. And then it ended with Danny showing up at the penthouse and bust Andy and then having sex with Carrie. Danny gets a bird eye view to see what Gary is packing and why it's so hard for Andy to let him go. She was like, if you could read her lips, she was like, oh shit, when she saw his stick shift or his pipe or his hammer or whatever we calling it today. And that's how it ended, y'all. So I like this episode because as y'all see, I got a kick out of a lot of scenes in this one. So y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all thought. And again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's your girl, Barbie J, saying peace.